That's the right button.
There it is.
Welcome to Caleb Can't Read. I'm Jordan Rabel.
And I'm Caleb Terrence.
Back from the fucking dead. As I live and breathe.
Yeah, dude.
And occasionally fuck.
Back here to make sure that you don't use the fucking soundboard. Absolutely not.
Oh, did you find out about that?
I didn't find out you broadcasted it, you fucking jackass. No one enjoys that. No one wants to listen to a podcast like, hey, I want to listen to these two fucking giggle and hit fucking stuff. Cut that shit
That's
out.
sad.
I don't fucking like it. No one likes it.
To be honest, I don't like it, but as long as I know I'm annoying somebody, then it really helps.
That I care about you enough to come back only so you don't embarrass yourself by using that. I mean, embarrass yourself further than what we're already doing here, which is pretty bad podcast. But
hey, you know that your podcast sucks. Hey, you know what I mean? Just yeah.
I mean, it's not like it's so bad that my involvement in it causes me to lie awake at night in shame or anything. Totally not.
No, that's my other podcast that you don't know about.
That wouldn't be healthy. I would just stop doing it because I totally have that level of
self-respect.
Absolutely.
But don't have any.
Here I am. For you listeners.
If you could choose to be a white man, would you ever choose to be that?
You mean like in the winter?
I mean, like, I don't know. Would you ever choose your ethnicity? If you could choose an ethnicity, what would it be?
Yeah, I do not like this line of questioning at all.
This is going to be a rough one for you.
There's no good way for me to respond to this whatsoever.
There is not.
I'm just going to act like it didn't happen.
Yep, I just smile and nod. Smile and nod.
Water under the bridge, rain on the back an expression?
Rain on the back?
I don't like rolling off.
We talk about crying under. I'm going to cry on her back.
Is that something like maybe later. But like, what is that? Just roll off your back? Is that a thing? There's some expression I'm trying to think of here.
You're meshing them together.
Yeah.
But you know what? I get it.
Okay.
Well, let's get started, shall we?
Meshing together after I cry off your back and slap it. Was that your... What do you got? Dude, I'm just going to roast you. I'm so... Okay, I'm going through it right now, so I'm going to be a nasty... It's going
to be spicy.
A nasty piece of shit today. I'm sorry, yeah. I'm going to be just a spicy little bee.
That's fine.
All right.
John Howard Griffin was born June 16th, 1920 to his mother,
Lena.
Nice fucking
segue.
And his father, thank you, also named John, in Dallas, Texas. Now, John Jr.'s mother, Lena, was a pianist, and as such, Lil John grew up with a love of music.
Oh, fuck.
He actually sought music as an academic career while he was still young, earning him a scholarship which took him all the way to France once he graduated high school. There, he attended the University of Poitiers, same place where French author Francois Rabelais once studied. But John would soon switch his major to medicine. Unfortunately, by the time 1940 rolled around, while John Howard Griffin was still studying in France, the Nazis decided to march down the Champs-Élysées. Now, the town of Poitiers is actually a little over 200 miles from Paris, and frankly, I'm not sure if John stuck around once he changed his major to medicine or if he went somewhere closer to the capital, but either way, John knew the few lessons he'd learned since he switched majors to medicine could be at least some help to the French resistance. So, he met with the local resistance leaders, where he was not only made a medic, but even helped smuggle Austrian Jews across the English Channel out of harm's way. But I'll say this much. A lot of this information is being summarized through the stories John would later write about himself. Unfortunately, besides the one memoir he's famously known for, the rest of his works are not only a bit hard to find, but they are kind of a slog to get through. Yet from what others who have known John have said, and from what I myself can defer from his character, John Howard Griffin does not seem like a liar. He seemed like a genuinely good guy with just kind of a touch of crazy.
Maybe a little embellishment from time to time to keep it interesting.
I mean, probably.
Yeah,
what author didn't?
Absolutely.
You know? But do I think that he did this shit? Yeah, probably. I really do believe he did. So from what I could understand, John was actually in France working with the French resistance for a number of years before he himself was targeted by the Gestapo and had to be smuggled back to his home in America. But after he'd said his hellos to his family there, he instantly turned around and enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. I'm sure he was hoping that he'd get to help his buddies back in France, But unfortunately, John was instead stationed in the Solomon Islands on the other side of the fucking planet. Apparently, John's job while he was there was to study the local culture. Like, I guess the U.S. was trying to make a dossier of every country we could for whatever our next inevitable war was, and they just figured they might as well have some of their soldiers double as anthropologists as well. So that's what John ended up doing. You know what I mean?
No.
Basically just, hey, what are people from the Solomon Islands like? Write it up so that we know the best way to kill them. So anyway, he was only in the Solomon Islands for a couple of years, in 1943 and 44, but he still managed to marry a native girl to the islands whose name I can't find. But once the war was over, John flew back home without her.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is one of those instances where I'm really curious if he ever actually...
Turns out this isn't legally binding. It is, just here. Nope.
I don't plan on coming back here.
Look, dude, if it's not in a white person rule book, then it's fine.
That's the thing. He wrote a ton of shit about his life, and this is one of those instances, though, where I'm really curious if he mentioned of her in any of his stories, but the problem is, when I went looking for it, there was only one mention I could really find. I'm pretty sure he never talked about this. Oops.
Well,
Well,
didn't embellish that one, did we? No.
now the thing is, while John Howard Griffin was stationed in the Solomon Islands, he was actually close to the impact zone of a Japanese bomb that got dropped right next to him. At first, nothing was noticeably wrong. Stop doing that.
Feels so good on my fucking stubble. Just rubbing it on the mic.
So a Japanese bomb got dropped next to him. Fuck you.
On my mic.
At first, nothing was noticeably wrong to John. Yet just a couple years later, while he was back in Texas in 1946, he slowly started going blind. The best anyone could figure was that this was caused by the bomb that went off next to him, and just maybe he had like a slow-moving concussion that took years to take effect.
Oh, God. Is that a thing?
Yeah. But
I'm in danger.
I know. You need to wear a helmet, dog.
Was that fucking 2 times that I fucking catapulted myself into door frames?
Yeah, like it's anyone's guess why he went blind, but like that's probably it. I guess that is a thing that can happen. Be careful, dude.
I don't fucking. It's a bit late for that, dude. Like I don't.
And that's the thing. This happened years down the road after that happened too.
Oh, God.
You gotta.
I don't need to fucking hear this shit right now, man. Don't appreciate it. Things are looking up for me financially, and that's it.
Yeah, rather than succumb to a lesser fate, John begins writing about his experiences, just essays about his life and what it's like to be blind. And through this, John finds a comfort in writing. Now, although John is blind, he finds that he can still find work as a piano teacher. Remember, he was good enough at music to get accepted in fucking France.
He can hear the music even though he's blind?
I know.
It's amazing.
It's almost like there was a whole Academy Award-winning movie about it, which there never was. Don't worry about it.
It'd be like, holy shit, like, it'd be like playing music if he couldn't smell. It's fucking wild, dude.
All right, asshole.
I'm sorry.
And maybe John thinks his blindness was divine intervention for leaving that woman behind in the Pacific, or maybe it was just because he grew up in Texas. But in 1952, at the age of 32, John Howard Griffin would convert to Catholicism.
Maybe it was... Can lead do that? Can lead make you blind?
Probably, dude.
I don't know.
Like, there was a big reason that we took it out of our pollution, you know?
Lead fucked up an entire
Microplastics are fine,
generation,
but
man.
It really did.
Like, all the microplastics are doing is making me sterile, and that's a plus.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Lead makes you lack empathy, and you know what, listeners? It also makes you blind. That's 100%. You heard that here on Caleb Can't Read.
We're scientists now.
Lead health risks.
Well, soon after converting to Catholicism, John knows he'd, never see his island girl again, so he asks for a dispensation from the Vatican, which is basically getting their blessing to be divorced without the other party knowing. He was never going to see her again. It doesn't matter.
Like, why did he even tell him about it? Like, did he just need it off his conscience, or?
Yeah, for Catholicism, basically, you have to. God has to approve of it. So he did that.
Why didn't you just tell the dude in the booth?
Good point.
It's not an official marriage if it wasn't Christian. And the Catholics don't be fucking
okay.
around with that kind of shit, dude. Like, I don't know shit about them, but they seem pretty serious.
They're very fucking serious. Did you know that we weren't allowed to have like a Catholic wedding? Me and Nicole, we weren't allowed to.
Oh shit! All right.
Because I got baptized.
Because it was interracial. It was a genuine question. I'm serious.
No, like, it was because I went to a fucking I went to a Christian summer camp, and I didn't know it was a Christian camp. My parents didn't know. I was just going with a buddy, and they were like, "Hey, if anyone wants to be baptized, you can be." Well, it turns out they were a little cultish, and when they baptized me, after I told like, a Catholic priest, like, yeah, we're looking to get married in your beautiful fucking church. Her family's Catholic, mine's not, but it doesn't really matter. They were like, okay, cool. Here's some questionnaires for you. Have you ever been baptized outside of the faith or whatever? And I was like, yeah, it was some Christian cult thing, but like, don't worry about it. And they were like, were you baptized inside of one of their churches? And I was like, no, it was in a river. And they were like, was it a river that ran through a church that had a roof overhead? And I was like, fucking no. And they were like, I'm sorry, but no.
It's so funny, dude. They're just
frightened. So weird.
Well, they're just frightened of you entering any body of water, and it's not surprising that like Europeans were very notorious for having bad hygiene. Like it's just like back in the day, like.
Okay, fair.
Like, no, you can only go into this specific water. The rest of the time, you're just going to be a little.
Well, anyway, it was this same year, in 1952, that John Howard Griffin would publish his first book, The Devil Rides Outside. It's about a young American studying music that moves into a Benedictine monastery in France in order to learn more about their monastic chants. And that's kind of it. No real climax as far as I could tell from the reviews. That was the one thing they all complained about. But it's apparently, it's pretty good. It's a good book. Now, Elizabeth Ann Holland was born September 14th, 1935. She made local headlines when she was just a baby, as she was found abandoned off the main street of Mansfield, Texas. But she was adopted by a loving family who, by the age of 4, found her to be quite the piano prodigy. She studied under many notable teachers, which soon led her to study under the tutelage of our very own John Howard Griffin. I'm not sure how long they were teacher and student for, but just a year after John published his first novel, The Devil Rides Outside, John and Elizabeth would marry in 1953. John would have been about 33, while Elizabeth was 17.
Oh,
don't question it. It's fine.
There's nothing to question.
No.
It's not questioning. It's judging.
Judging. No judging.
No, I'm fucking judging it pretty
Caleb,
hard.
Look at me. Catholicism.
This is what we do here at Caleb Can't Read.
Judge the shit.
We bring up weird shit that people used to do that is now inappropriate, and we act shocked about it every single fucking episode. Like it's not.
We really shouldn't be shocked at this point.
It's probably only like 2 episodes where this hasn't happened. Really?
Yeah, really, yeah.
And he fucked a child. Oh! Like, how many times? I don't know how many more O's I got in me. Like, it's like, yeah.
It's just how they do. I mean,
after 20, that's an old hag. Like,
all right, Leo. Now, let's see.
Hips? Disgusting.
In 1956, John would produce his next book, called Noonie, about a man marooned in the Solomon Islands. So in both this book and his first, Griffin would kind of touch on the things he loved, his love of music and his love of Melanesian women. But it was in this second book, Noonie, that John Howard Griffin would specifically focus on themes of race. Now, the differences between people of different cultures, or really the lack thereof, is what truly fascinated him. Back then, and unfortunately in a lot of places still, most people thought the color of your skin made you a completely different individual. If you were white, you were born smart. If you were born anything else, you were probably a little simple. You know?
Man, I got news for you about institutional racism.
What's that?
It's the same way now.
No, I know. That's why I said it's unfortunately the same now. Yeah, no, I get it. Trust me, I see it.
Excuse me, I missed a word. I was just thinking about myself.
Yeah. Because you're simple. Because you're simple.
Yeah,
you were born this way.
I'm sorry. I'm half simple.
You're half.
I'm an intellectual daywalker.
Half legally doy. Yeah.
Okay.
When you're white, you had certain skills people of other races just couldn't be taught. But John's experiences talking with people of other races in both the Solomon Islands and even at home in Mansfield, Texas, showed him that none of that was true. And just how John Howard Griffin didn't see color. His eyesight returned out of the blue in 1957.
Beautiful.
Isn't that was poetic? You get it because he was blind. He couldn't see color.
Do we know what kind of condition makes you blind and then stops?
Honestly, wartime shit does that. It can.
Like shell shock would.
Yeah, for like
make
years,
you blind for a while.
Could. Yeah, I know that's fucking.
You just see some shit that's so fucked up, your eyes stop.
Yes, that sounds fucked up and made up, but like it's true.
No, I can understand. Just going in to get checked out, and the doctor's like, "No, your eyes work. Your brain is refusing to process the information they're given."
There's an opposite condition of that where people are blind, but they refuse to believe that they're blind. And so their brain is processing shit as if they're seeing stuff in front of them, and it's terrifying. Glad this isn't
being videotaped.
Why?
Because I'm picturing someone doing that, and it's really funny.
No, I read a story on like Reddit once where somebody knew somebody with that condition, and they were like, they couldn't, of course, legally drive. They had to be in the passenger seat, but their brain was like still showing them shit on the road, and they fucking leaned over and grabbed the wheel and jerked it from the driver, and they were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he was like, "Didn't you see all the skulls in the goddamn road?" It was like, no,
dude, what the
it's terrifying.
That is a wild ass condition. That is
brains are weird.
That is up there with brain trauma that causes you to have a foreign accent you've never heard.
Fake.
Don't do this.
It's fake.
Me. Don't do this to me.
We went over this in the previous episode. Dude, I looked into it.
Jordan,
it's fake.
No, you're making me lose a little bit of innocence I didn't know I had. Okay, and I need
it's just old white people being racist.
I'm having a hard time right now, and I don't want to be
racist out in the blue. What do you want?
To take that out of my universe because it's really funny.
All right, well, we'll go watch the videos later. It's pretty good.
God damn it! All right.
All right. Well, as the years pushed into the late 50s, Griffin saw how bad the race relations between white and black were getting, especially in the South. Segregation was being enforced violently, Jim Crow laws were in full effect, and the civil rights movement was just beginning to get national coverage. And John, maybe a little full of himself, decides he's the guy who's going to blow the story wide open on how it feels to be black in America. Yes,
Thanks,
he is a white man, yes. And I guess
does he
hang on.
Does he ask black people?
Hang on.
Does he?
Hang on.
Does he? What does he do, Jordan? How's he going to handle this?
And I guess due to his time as an amateur anthropologist in the Air Force...
You were going to say an amateur black person.
We're not there yet. John considered himself a, quote, racial expert. But however will he go undercover, Caleb? How?
Oh, fuck, dude.
I'm so excited
for
you.
Oh, god damn.
So John Howard Griffin took a trip to Fort Worth where his friend, a man named George Levitin...
Did he Downey Jr. it?
And owner of the black magazine Sepia, would hear out John's proposal.
Fuck.
At the end of their meeting, George agreed to help John slip his way into the black world with a series of connections, as long as his magazine got publishing rights.
What the fuck?
And also if they could get the approval from Sepia's editorial director, Adele Jackson.
Slip his way into the... All right, never mind. Go ahead.
You'll get there. Don't worry. Now, you see, while this lady, the editorial director, Adele Jackson, while she couldn't stop John from going through with his plan, and George Levitin was the owner of the magazine, I got the feeling both he and John were kind of afraid of her, so they asked her permission if John could do this experiment before he even bothered to tell his own wife. And of course, after hearing how John planned to infiltrate the Deep South, Adele said, quote, "You don't know what you'd be getting into, John." But in the end, she agreed, and John went home to tell Elizabeth. Soon after, the 39-year-old John Howard Griffin was in New Orleans visiting a dermatologist who was willing to turn John black.
Oh, God.
Simple body paint would just not do. John took a rough fucking course of sun lamps, skin
creams. Is it worse
creams.
or better with simple body paint? What do you think? Why don't you tell the world what you think about that?
I don't know, man.
I'm not touching that.
He took large doses of a drug called methoxylin, which was meant to fight against vitiligo, which makes patches of your skin lose color. You've seen that? Yeah. John did this for about a week, completely shut up in a hotel room. He also shaved off all of his straight hair and dyed the stubble black. And with this, John Howard Griffin was now a black man.
Dude.
This is him on
No,
the
I don't.
left.
My name, John Blackman. Yes. Good afternoon. Dude, what the fuck, man? That's... Oh. Dude, the fucking gymnastics that were done, the mental gymnastics, not be like, hey, man, should you maybe just interview and go around and talk to people? No. Lock yourself in a room and take medication that alters your skin tone.
We'll go into it, but... Dude, this I hate to say it. This was needed.
God, dude.
This was needed to be done this way.
I don't think so.
At the time, this book fucking changed the ways that white people
listeners,
thought.
Let's fucking listen to Jordan talk with us about how he thinks blackface was necessary this one time.
Which, by the way...
Which, let's remind you, all listeners, Jordan is also a white man.
Which, by the way, John would actually exhibit some symptoms from all of this skin treatment. He'd get just real sleepy and nauseous fucking randomly. Just, oh, God. Oh, fuck. It's like, yeah, dude, you poisoned your skin black. That's not a good thing.
He probably just thought that was what not being white felt like.
Just kicking the nuts every so often.
I fucking believe this shit, dude. Like, it's just like...
For 6 weeks... God. For 6 weeks, John would live his life persecuted in the Deep South.
Okay, dude, you don't have to go through this operation to find out that it sucks to be black in America. You don't.
This is what I mean, though. I do think John has the best intentions, and maybe he embellishes a little bit, but I do think that he tells the fucking truth, and he is just a well-meaning white guy that had no fucking idea. He had no idea.
Yeah, I get that he had no fucking idea. You could still criticize him for being a dibshit and being offensive. Like,
yes. No, don't get me wrong. This
people
was
do
a
it to
bad
me
move.
all the time.
This was a bad move. At times, his life would actually be in danger. When his articles were later published in Sepia...
Yeah, no shit. It's like, yeah, your life's going to be in danger because the white people think you're black, and then the black people might find out that it's not that you're white, it's that you shouldn't
do this.
Be doing that. Like,
when his articles were later published in Sepia, they would be under the label Journey into Shame. But when his experiences were published as a full-length novel, they'd go under a different title. Now, the world-famous African-American poet Langston Hughes had a poem called Dream Variations, which John Howard Griffin would use as inspiration when naming his book. The poem goes like this. To fling my arms wide in some place of the sun, to whirl and to dance till the white day is done, then rest at cool evening beneath a tall tree, while night comes on gently, dark like me. That is my dream, to fling my arms wide in the face of the sun, dance, whirl, whirl, till the quick day is done. Rest at pale evening, a tall, slim tree, night coming tenderly, black like me. John Howard Griffin's Black Like Me would be released 2 years after his journey.
Why are you laughing, dude?
In 1961. It's just... When you see this dude when he's white, to see his face on the cover of Black Like Me.
We're still talking about the same guy.
Yeah. Now, the preface to the book, to me...
No, you'll tell me.
We're going to go into it.
I'm sorry.
We're going to go into it.
Okay.
Now, the preface to the book, to me, is aimed specifically at the white people that were sure to take issue with Griffin's journey and poke holes in the story however they could. Quote, this may not be all of it. It may not cover all the questions, but it is what it is like to be a Negro in a land where we keep the Negro down. You're going to need to get comfortable with this word for this one. Some whites will say this is not really it. They will say this is the white man's experience as a Negro in the South, not the Negroes. But this Pocoyanish, and we no longer have time for that. We no longer have time to atomize principles and beg the question. We fill too many gutters while we argue unimportant points and confuse issues. The Negro, the South, these are the details. The real story is the universal one of men who destroy the souls and bodies of other men, and in the process destroy themselves for reasons neither really understands. It is the story of the persecuted, the defrauded, the feared and detested. I could have been a Jew in Germany, a Mexican in a number of states, or a member of any quote-unquote inferior group. Only the details would have differed. the story would be the same. That's good. I agree with that.
It's good, cool. You could have wrote that without doing that.
Yep.
Like, it would have been fine. Like, I don't...
John begins his story by talking about how he made plans with George Levitin of Sepia to make this project, which we already went over. But he also mentions how he actually managed to sit down with 3 FBI agents who worked out of Dallas and seemed very reluctant to allow John to do this. They told him not to change his name in case he ended up dead. That way they'd be able to at least get a lead on where his corpse went. And John wondered about how he'd be treated by law enforcement. Quote, "Do you suppose they'll treat me as John Howard Griffin, regardless of my color? Or will they treat me as some nameless Negro, even though I am still the same man?" I asked. "You're not serious," one of them said. "They're not going to ask you any questions. As soon as they see you, you'll be a Negro, and that's all they'll ever want to know about you." So he doesn't have the cops on his side.
Well,
He's
yeah.
just finding out.
What? See, look at all these challenges you could have avoided by just speaking
Yeah, right?
with people in the community.
No, he did this as a prep, and then he was like, "I'm ready."
Ah, yes. The only way to discover this information.
This is like a kid coming out of high school talking to a bunch of vets who are just like, "Don't do it. Do not sign up for the military, dude. Don't do it." And he's like, No, they told me I scored really high and I can be anything I want to be. November 1st, 1959. John Howard Griffin is checked in at the Hotel Monteleone in the French Quarter of New Orleans, which is when he begins turning his skin black over the next 6 days. John made it seem like...
anything worse than French people, it's when you put them in a swamp.
I don't know, man. I haven't been to the swamps, but I've been to France, and I don't disagree with
Put
you.
it in a swamp. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. I was ready here quick on the draw to give you some shit, but I'm glad we found common ground.
Well, I think that from your experiences in America and mine in Europe, man, we can both hate French people. It's okay.
It's fucking, like, put them in a swamp and make them eat bugs and reptiles long enough, and
Are you kidding me? They ate the same shit in France.
gonna get all wonky. Yeah, that's fair.
The wonky honky. Well, John made it seem like when his darkening was complete, the doctor instantly regretted how good of a job he did, like he just signed John's death warrant. The doctor supposedly shook his hand before he left and told him, quote, "Now you go into oblivion." And as
I think he
strange...
may have embellished that. He might have just been like, "Hey, this is really fucking stupid."
Yeah, he may have used some expletives that he didn't want to put in the book. Just, "Now you go into oblivion."
Hey,
I told him, "Hey, you fucking idiot, don't do this."
I really need you to know for legal purposes that I'd advised against this. I don't understand what this will actually get you that you can't get through another method, and I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah. As strange as John may look to you and me, no one believed a white guy would be stupid enough to purposely turn themselves black and place themselves in the deep south. And because of that, everyone immediately accepted John as a black man. Now, he is very quick to learn how to behave as a black person during this experiment.
Dude.
What?
Oh, fuck. All right, go on. I'm sorry.
When he goes into a restaurant, he's expected to say what he wants to order without even looking at the menu. If he were to open the menu, then it would make him look like he's showing off the fact that he can read, which white people will think makes him uppity, and which makes black people think he's overdoing it so he can look like a proper person to the whites.
Wild how the right context makes that word just fucking...
There's no other...
I know.
It is used freely in here by the white people.
Coming, dude. I
know,
felt it
yeah.
Just...
It's
the
in there.
room was vibrating. I was like, here we fucking go.
I'm just getting paler.
I don't like looking at you say it.
Just the fucking grin. Oh,
too
it's my time to shine.
Fucking Christ, Casper.
John does have the common sense to know where to sit on the bus, however. But unlike some segregated buses, the one John is on isn't marked blacks or whites only, so the line is kind of drawn by how crowded the bus is. You know what I mean?
Buses?
The buses. Well, John is sitting in one of those...
Damn, I'm sorry.
You good?
Just think about Dreamy Bowl. It'll pass.
I'm glad that we could bring such a light topic to you.
Dude, I don't appreciate it right now. I'm not going to fucking lie.
Well, John is sitting in one of those seats that's on the border between the black and white section, and the bus is fully crowded. What?
I can't. I'm sorry.
I can't say the word bus at all.
Please make the little image next to the saying dreamy bowl for this one.
No. So when this white lady gets on the bus and there's nowhere to sit, John thinks he's doing the right thing by getting up so the lady can sit down. Instead, John manages to piss off absolutely everyone by doing that. The black people are mad that he would be so fucking weak to give up his seat without being asked, again being labeled as playing it up. And the white people think he's making fun of them by being nice. The lady that got on there...
Jesus.
The lady just stands in the aisle and grabs the bar above her head, ready to stand for the duration of her ride. But she turns to another white woman and says, "They're getting sassier every day."
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's super fuck. Well, okay. Well, I guess that scenario you couldn't have just asked people about and understood.
Yeah. I mean, I would be scared too.
You're fucking trying to get me recording defending someone doing blackface.
No.
This is very intricate and you're a dick for this.
No. This was a big point of history. I'm not going to lie. Like this was, I even asked my dad about this and he was like, yeah, I remember when that happened.
Oh, cool. I'm glad you asked more white people about it.
Yeah. Well, I had to ask somebody.
Like I had like a coworker a while ago. Like it got brought up in conversation. They're just like, do you have any black friends? And I was like, no.
I live in Oregon.
And they're like, why? Why not? I was like, okay, next. Oh, is it appropriate for me to run up to the next black person I see and just be like, excuse me, I don't have any black friends?
Yeah.
Like,
I know,
it's not, I can't, that's not okay.
No, it's not.
Like,
can I touch your hair? Like,
excuse me, sir. Like,
yeah, it's
like,
look, I mean, it's not like I on purpose ended up with a bunch of Hispanic friends either. It ended up that way.
You just lived in Tigard.
Yeah,
and
it happened.
They're around.
I wasn't like seeking anyone out, you know. It's fine. Like,
oh, got to check this one off the list. Got to make sure everybody in the friend group is. Yep, got all the boxes here.
God
like,
damn it, I still need somebody from Angola. Shit. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, John soon discovers that he needs to have a layout of the entire city of New Orleans memorized, just in case he needs anything, from lunch to a cup of coffee to a simple bathroom. If you find yourself hungry or need to take a shit, you'd sometimes have to walk entire miles just to find the nearest place that would accept a black man. Now, the people working as John's connections in New Orleans, the ones supplied by the magazine Sepia, didn't seem like they were really told about what John was doing. And when they met John, again, they would just think he was a regular old black guy. Probably weren't told about his situation so that they wouldn't tell absolutely everyone they knew. Holy shit, there's a white guy out here who took fucking pills and cooked himself under heat lamps to turn himself black. But when John told these guys who he was and what he was doing, it seemed like they all had the same reaction. Like, are you a fucking idiot? Why would you want this? But
like, dude, we know what happens. Just write about it and push to start changing it. What the fuck? Like,
but in order to get the true experience,
I need to do this. No, you don't. What the fuck?
In order to get the true experience of living as a black man, John Howard Griffin would need to get a job. So it seems like John had lived in New Orleans for at least a little bit of time before this, enough to recognize the area and even make friends with a couple people, one of which was a shoe shiner by the name of Sterling Williams. John surprised him by sitting down at his chair one day just to see if he'd recognize him, and he didn't. Then he asked Sterling about his shoes. You ever meet anyone that had shoes like these?
Man, that looks like that one guy I know who's white, but no, he wouldn't do that. That would be wildly impractical and offensive. So surely this is just
extremely offensive.
Wow, that's terrible. No one would do that, right?
Well, he asked Sterling, you ever meet anyone that had shoes like these? And Sterling says, yeah, guy by the name of Griffin. You know him? And John leans in close and tells him, quote, I am him. And it takes Sterling a moment to recognize him, but when he does
he beat his ass?
Rather than be concerned for his safety or offended at his methods, he cracks the fuck up. Funniest shit he ever saw. And John's like, I'm trying to get a job.
Dude.
He's like, I'm trying to get a job as a black man to get the full experience. Can I work here? And Sterling's like, yeah, man, you can fucking work here.
Like, sure, dude. I mean, you could have just asked me about it. But
everyone had the same answer. Just why didn't you just ask?
do you ever think about just asking us about it instead of taking a job away so you could write about it?
You know what's really funny? He's going to come to this conclusion, and it's only because of this that people came to this conclusion.
Fuck. I mean,
So John ends up getting watched after by Sterling and his shoeshine partner pretty well. They make sure he's looking or not looking at people properly, making sure he's speaking the right way to different races, but they can't account for John during the night once work is over. John one time stupidly goes out on a walk after dark. Doesn't seem like he was hungry or anything. He just wanted to be a privileged white guy that's allowed to do that, you know? Well, it's not long before he gets taunted by a couple of white guys calling him Baldy. And John's like, all right, well, that's not too bad.
no, well, that doesn't seem racially motivated. Good.
Yeah.
We'll keep
But a
walking.
couple blocks later, he hears, "Hey, Mr. Shithead." One of the guys had been following John, and he didn't even fucking notice. So John, obviously a little freaked out, tries to pick up the pace. But every time he does, the other guy always manages to keep the same distance behind him. John eventually walks into an alley and tells the guy, quote, "I'm going in, boy. You follow me. You follow me, boy, because I am just aching to feed you a fistful of brass knuckles right in that big mouth of yours."
Whoa.
John waits for a little while, but no one follows after him. Seemingly, the guy bought his bluff. So John ends up cutting through the alley into another street. And not too long after that, a police cruiser drives by, and John thinks, oh, thank God. But a block or so up, he sees the cruiser make a U-turn, and he all of a sudden remembers his situation, and he's like, fuck! John jumps into a nearby black diner, and it can only be guessed at how long he stayed in there. At one point during John's journey, he wanted to know what it was like to hitchhike when black. Now, luckily, John lived to tell the tale, and the way he writes about it, it wasn't super uncommon for people to hitchhike back then, and someone would be willing to pick you up. He just seemed astonished that no one would even slow down for him when he was black. But eventually, some hick pulls over and tells John to jump on in. Now, there were plenty of white people that John ran into that were what I would call progressive for the time. They didn't care that John was black in a racist way, but they cared about...
Look, I'm not going to beat you up myself, but I am calling the cops.
Yeah, they were curious about John in a curious way, but it was always the same curiosity. Let me see your dick.
Whoa.
Yeah, everyone always...
That's not progressive at all.
No, I don't care that you're black. I just want to see your big black wiener. Yeah, everyone always asked John how true it was that he was packing a fucking hog farm and how much above an average sexual appetite he had. And during this whole experiment, John was always truthful about everything besides his color. But when he told people that he had an average-sized wiener and he didn't, fuck anyone besides his wife, they never seemed to be disappointed, but angry that John wasn't living up to their expectations of what they imagined a black person was like. So when John was stuck in this car with this one guy, and he asked John about how much of a freak he was in bed, and John said, no, sorry, I'm actually super vanilla, this guy freaked out on him. He was like, you lie! And then he was quiet for most of the ride home. He really did seem to me like he was trying to convince John to take off his pants, though. In another instance...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how the dynamics with that kind of thing worked back in the day, but there must have been some...
He was just disappointed.
Wild-ass coding with that.
Yeah.
To find gay sex.
Oh my god, that's so fucking dangerous. like maybe worse than this. Well, in another instance, John had a truck pick him up. Quote, when I opened the door, I saw a shotgun propped against the seat next to his knee. But when John backed away, the guy just laughed and said, don't worry. That's for deer. I'm a friend. I promise. Come on in. And I'm sure at this point, John felt like it was more of a hostage situation than anything, so he does get into this guy's car. The whole way, though, this hick just monologues at John about how inferior he is, and John's just forced to listen. Most of Black Like Me is composed of conversations John has with other people about their perspectives on race integration, and most of the time, white people give John dumb excuses as to why it won't work, or why blacks shouldn't be allowed in certain places. But this guy, to me, gives John the ultimatum right and out in the open of how all these white Southerners really feel, with no dancing around the subject at all. Quote, "I'll tell you how it is here. We'll do business with you people. We'll sure as hell screw your women. Other than that, you're just completely off the record as far as we're concerned. And the quicker you people get that through your heads, the better off you'll be." And when John gets out of this guy's car...
God damn.
And when John gets out of this guy's car and says, "Thank you," the guy peppers in a last bit of bastardness by saying, "Didn't they teach you any manners in Texas? Don't you know to call me sir?" So John has to look him in the eye and say, "Thank you, sir." John Howard Griffin's life as a black man ended when he was taken in by a kindly black couple living in the bayou. Their kids reminded John of his own, and I think he just got, kind of realized that there's a difference between slowly growing up black and just slapping yourself in the middle of their situation in, the worst place in the United States to be black at the time. Quote, "I thought of my daughter, Susie, and of her 5th birthday today, the candles, the cake, and the party dress, and of my sons in their best suits. They slept now in clean beds in a warm house while their father, a bald-headed old Negro, sat in the swamps and wept." John put himself in a very brazen situation, and I think he realized there was a very real chance of him being lynched for doing something he didn't know he was doing wrong and never seeing his kids again. Overall, John Howard Griffin's journey took him about 6 weeks, though it was supposed to go on for longer. He just felt life as a black man was too dangerous and had to quit. And just like the days it took John to darken his skin, he shut himself inside a hotel room and stayed out of direct sunlight for 3 days till his normal pigmentation came back. Can you imagine the hotel clerk that sees this white guy come out of there out of 3 days, though? John's time in the South.
Just the same lady mopping and looking over and just no, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not, this is that. Oh, wow. That's a lot of not of my business.
Not asking questions.
Absolutely not.
John's time in the South was serialized in sepia to great success. They were actually being printed while he was still undercover, which is kind of dangerous, and John was soon sought after by news shows for interviews, which he did, with his face fully in view and giving out his real name and where he lived and everything. But before Black Like Me could even be released in novel form, someone had hung an effigy of John in the middle of downtown Mansfield where he lived. The doll was half white and half black and had a placard hung around its neck with his name on it. When the police tore it down and threw it in the dump, it returned that same day on the side of the road with a new sign which read, $25 fine for dumping dead animals. You got any thoughts about that?
Absolutely not.
What's the matter? Tell everyone how you feel.
Nope, I only have the appropriate ones. That is fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
That is not cool.
From the 188 pages of diary that John Howard Griffin had produced, his experiences were finally made into the novel Black Like Me 2 years later in 1961 and produced by Houghton Mifflin. The first edition cover makes it look like a horror novel, though, with this picture of a silhouette entering a hallway that says colored entrance, but it's all washed over in red and has this interesting little tagline of, "A white man learns what it is like to live the life of a Negro by becoming one."
Jesus.
It really does look
old
like
school monster movie.
Yeah,
status and shit.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, dude.
Like people that really want to be scared were picking up this book like, "Oh, I bet this will be fun." And
Yeah,
it's like, "Oh no, wait,
spooky.
it's an actual problem."
Oh yeah, you know why they were scared? Because they know it would suck, which is why he didn't need to do that.
Well, the book was an immediate success, and for a while, John Howard Griffin became a celebrity. He said that for all the letters he got, very few were actually hostile. In fact, most of the letters he received were from white people who actually had their eyes opened by John's experience. They really didn't think things were that bad. Now, there had been plenty of articles in the past that showed how bad things were, especially an article from a journalist named Ray Spriggle in 1948 called "I Was a Negro in the South for 30 Days." But as far as I know, he did just shoe polish himself and walk around for a bit. But Black Like Me talks to its white audience like children, explaining that sometimes when a black guy is nice to you and you think he's one of the good ones, he's not really being nice, he's just fucking scared of you. John was seen as such an expert in black culture after the debut of his book that he was often invited to give seminars
There and
at
back
college,
again. A honky's tale.
where there would be crowds of well-intentioned white people saying, John, how do we bridge the gap between white and black communities? And John would always say, did you notice that there's not a single black person in this room? And they'd go, oh.
Dang it.
But which black person do we ask to be a representative? And he was like, you should ask a black person. Oh! Like this really was being fed to them like children. They had no idea.
Oh, you know what? I take it back, actually.
What?
No, the Puerto Ricanness makes me brown enough to shame you for being white now. I would like to reclaim that status again.
I hate that you're able to just jump back and forth on whether you're white or not. You know?
I am the daywalker.
However, John did receive negative criticism for his work as well.
Whoa, it almost slipped out of you just there.
No.
Holy shit, did you hear that? The spirit just
burped.
fucking...
God damn it.
You got mad at me for fucking mixing around my race and the spirit took you, dude. I saw you restraining yourself. Fucking Freudian slip. Jesus Christ.
Gotta read that one over.
Oh my God, dude. Jordan, that was close, dude.
I was belching. I'm sorry.
I saw your fucking pupils dilated and everything. You were ready, dude.
Just blood coming out of my nose.
No, Jordan.
I'm gonna read that over. However, John did receive negative criticism for his work as well.
Fucking negative.
Negative.
Neg. Negative. Negative. N-E, bro. Come on, man. Just don't fucking slip it in. You little fucking...
I'm not trying
I
to.
fucking see you, you snake in the grass.
Negative. Is that not... Negative. I'm sorry.
There.
Look.
You did it that time. You did it right.
No, God damn it. Hang on now. Hang on. No, I'm not...
See here now.
Stop.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Oh, fucking look out, everybody. Jordan
okay,
snapping
no,
his
wait.
fucking suspenders.
Do you call them eggs or eggs?
Eggs.
Eggs?
Eggs. Yeah.
They're eggs to me. I'm sorry. That's just how I do EG.
This is how you talk because of your fucking skin color. I'm getting the picture.
Fuck.
Because that's just the way things are, right, Jordan? That's the established way.
Anyway.
Say it with me. Negative.
Not positive.
Fine. If that's what you need to fucking do to not drop a half N-bomb, then so be it. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fine.
Got 2 pages.
I'm fine.
You gonna get through without doing
Fuck
it again?
you.
Fucking, he's getting aggressive. Look the fuck out, listeners. Jesus Christ. Actually, most of you live in Portland. I'm scared of you, too. Statistically.
However, John did not receive fully positive criticism for his work as well, though they weren't always in written form. They were instead very physical. The Ku Klux Klan took a pretty big offense to what Griffin did, but it took them a while to act on it. 3 years had passed since the novel's release when in 1964, John Howard Griffin was caught with a flat tire somewhere in Mississippi. Coincidentally, it wasn't too long before a group of men approached him, whom Griffin thought were there to assist him. They dragged him away from his car and attempted to beat him to death with chains. It took the 44-year-old Griffin 5 months to fully recover from his injuries.
Oh shit, I'm surprised he didn't die.
Yeah.
Got beat with chains, dude.
To be fair, chains are a stupid weapon.
That would suck dick, though.
Oh yeah, it'd suck, but chains, really? You're trying
I'd
to
rather
kill dude
suck
with
a
chains?
dick.
That same year, in 1964, though I can't be sure if it happened before or after this incident, Griffin would receive the Possum in Terris Award, which is Latin for peace on earth.
Is it for what he did to get him to stop beating him with chains?
I don't know.
Possum.
What?
Never mind. You can take that out later. I thought you'd get it quicker.
I understand.
You kind of ruined it by not getting it. I'm sorry, but yeah, we'll definitely need to remove that. That was pretty bad.
No, that's good. That's good.
No.
All right.
Wow, we're talking about civil rights, and I am just I'm just throwing haymakers over here, dude. Just fucking.
This is an award handed out by a Catholic group based in Iowa and is basically the Midwest Catholic version of the Nobel Peace Prize.
What?
That's the best way that I can tell you about it.
I'm gonna start saying that about like a lot of shit. Like this is pretty much like the Midwest Catholic version of anything. Have you ever had Midwest Catholic style pizza?
John was the first to be awarded, right alongside John F. Kennedy, for his, quote, powerful book, Black Like Me, which has showed us how we are too often judged not by the content of our character, but by the color of our skin.
Sounds familiar.
It feels like maybe they should have awarded Martin Luther King Jr. So anyway, granted, this group kind of sounds like some John Birch Society shit, but when I looked up their recipients, they seem to be on the right side of things, having given awards to people like the Dalai Lama, Cesar Chavez, and Desmond Tutu. Yes, they also gave an award to Mother Teresa, but that was in 1976 before people knew how shitty she actually was. And yes, the Diocese of Davenport in Iowa, who hands out this award...
Wait, is Mother Teresa shitty?
Oh, yeah.
Go on.
I'll tell you about that later.
3 pages left, but let's hijack this, dude. I'm switching tracks, bro.
The Diocese of Davenport in Iowa,
Foiled again,
who hands out this award, also just recently reinstated a priest that had allegations of sexual abuse. But I want you to know, Caleb, they investigated themselves, and they found no wrongdoing.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. They don't still do it that way, do they?
Like I said, that was recent.
Oh, okay. Like 2010 recent, or like recent?
A little bit more recently.
Or like recent-er.
Recent-er. Yeah.
Like post-pandemic recent?
Yeah.
Oh,
also
dear.
in 1964 was the...
Fucking A.
Yeah.
All right, they're just...
Catholics are still up to some shit. Could you have believed it would come out of them like that?
Bro, there's fucking diddlers about, man.
They're everywhere. Our favorite rappers.
Shit, there's a... Do you want to get into conspiracy theories with me?
Mm-hmm.
We could do this.
Yeah, I do.
I'm in an emotionally vulnerable enough state right now where I could be
I have so much
into...
to show you. I have so much.
Let's fucking go!
We're grabbing another 12-pack. Hang on. Also in 1964 was the release of the movie version of Black Like Me, starring James Whitmore, the guy who played Brooks in The Shawshank Redemption. You remember the old dude? Brooks was here. He's got the fucking bird in his pocket and shit.
Bird guy. No, I do not. No,
Damn,
I
really?
just remember Morgan Freeman and White Dude. And Yelling Guy on Roof. Remember Yelling Guy on Roof? He was in Starship Troopers as well.
Oh, he was the cop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them.
The Dickie cop.
He was lead small pee-pee man.
Yes. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
While it very much was an anthropological study that goes over the thoughts and feelings of people living in the Deep South, allowing people to understand the common struggles John was going through, the movie has no narration, so a lot of the time it just feels like you're watching a guy act like a moron wearing blackface. Like, I know...
well, how the fuck? What else was he doing?
They shouldn't have made a movie. Like, look, I will say this. I know the guys making the movie had the right intentions, but it still felt offensive, you know? Well, after his roadside attack, John and his family would lay low, though Griffin would return to writing with the debut of his 1969 book, The Church and the Black Man. The book was a call to the Catholic Church to do something about the racial inequalities in America, and Griffin seemed to hope this book would be the catalyst for the church to step in and do something about the poor treatment of minorities in America. But of course, that didn't really happen.
They can't even get it right with boys.
That's true. Gotta start small is what they say.
Jesus fuck. That won't work with them, apparently.
In fact, there were several members of the clergy who took it upon themselves to lead protests against racial violence in America, but overall, the Catholic Church themselves never really spoke against it. Yet John's book, The Church and the Black Man, is a fascinating list of interviews with activists and church officials of the time, like Thomas Merton and James Gropey. Gropey was a priest based in Wisconsin that my dad actually remembers making marches past his apartment when he was a kid. And Thomas Merton was someone I even considered covering on this podcast, as he himself was an author. But the more I looked into Merton's work, the more I realized that I didn't really want to read it. since it's all about faith healing and stuff. But the real reason I wanted to cover him was because in 1968, the year before The Church and the Black Man would be released, Thomas Merton would reach over to turn off his electric fan while he was taking a bath, and he was electrocuted. I thought that was kind of funny.
God damn.
What?
I don't know. It's just kind of rough. I didn't know that could happen. I thought you had to intentionally throw the toaster, and I've been flirting with that for years. But
some have said it was an assassination due to his outspokenness on the Vietnam War, but come on, that's too funny to make up.
The siren's call.
Anyway, because of Merton's death, and because Griffin was still a dedicated Catholic boy, he released a book a year later in 1970 called A Hidden Wholeness, The Visual World of Thomas Merton, which of course would go over the achievements in Merton's life. After this, John would get into photography, releasing 2 books in the first half of the 70s called 12 Photographic Portraits by Unicorn Press and Jacques Maritain, Homage in Words and Pictures by Magi Books in 1974, again looking at the life of a Catholic philosopher who died the year before. But in 1975, a little over 10 years since his near-fatal attack, it would seem that the KKK would return to John once more. Rather than hanging his effigy on the main drag of the town in which he lived, someone had hung one in his front lawn in Mansfield, Texas. And John did not take this threat lightly. He and his family moved to Mexico for the next 9 months before making their eventual return.
It's kind of fucking wild.
Huh.
You know, because, like, isn't the whole organization just, like, really loud about how horrible and mean they are to minorities and such?
Yeah.
And then they're just mad at him for telling people what they also tell people about them? I
guess
like,
because he wants to give them sympathy, maybe? I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't...
I'm not going to act like the KKK
the
is well known.
Thing. Yeah.
I'm not going to act like they're well known for compassion or caring.
Making sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they did return back to the United States, John began work on his 1977 novel, A Time to Be Human, looking deeper into the prejudices that Griffin experienced not just for the 6 weeks he was black, but for all the times he was white as well. He does bring that up in Black Like Me, where he, like, turns white and he goes to a bus stop full of black people and nobody will talk to him. And he's like, no, come on. I was one of you.
And they're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, well, he doesn't say it out loud, but they're just like, yeah, of course they're still suspicious of any white guy that is readily coming up to them with a smile. Like, oh, fuck, he's about to ask me about my dick again. Like, I get it.
This guy needs a friend.
Yeah. And from there, John Howard Griffin would live the remainder of his days in Mansfield until he died from complications to diabetes on September 9th, 1980 at the age of 60. It had long been rumored that he actually died of skin cancer because of all the pills he took and sun treatments that he did to make himself black. And while he may have died from that eventually, it really was just diabetes. Anyway, since his death, John Howard Griffin's essays and articles were posthumously collected and published in 2 volumes called Scattered Shadows, a memoir of blindness and vision in 2004, and Available Light, Exile in Mexico in 2008. His wife, Elizabeth, passed away at the turn of the century in the year 2000. She had actually remarried after John's death, and both she and her new husband established the publishing company Latitude Press together, which is neat. And although John Howard Griffin's experiment in 1959 seems like a strange little tidbit of American history, his technique would be replicated by several different journalists in the following years, who would go undercover as one minority or another. There was a German reporter named Günter Wallraff, who pretended to be a Turkish immigrant for 2 years just to show how xenophobic the treatment of migrants were within Germany in 1985. The endeavors of which helped him create the assistance program for migrants called Solidarity with Foreigners. Though I would like to point out, when Wallraff conducted the same experiment again in 2009 by pretending to be a black man, he did it by just walking around in blackface trying to get a reaction out of people, and that was pretty much universally accepted as not a cool move.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. Wow, 2009, huh? Wow.
Yeah, no.
But just a handful of years after Griffin's own book, in 1969, there was a woman named Grace Halsell that underwent the same treatment John did to turn her skin black. Her story was from the perspective as, this time, a black woman, and her book would be released under the title Soul Sister.
Oh.
My sources today.
Is that like that movie that just came out with Glenn Close?
I fucking hope not.
It's just, fuck, dude.
My sources today.
I can't even reference
No.
any of that.
Don't. What was it called? The Deliverance.
Yeah, The Deliverance.
The Deliverance.
Jesus
Different from
Christ.
Deliverance.
You guys, that was fucking wild. She did the Robert Downey Jr. bit unironically.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure she was just cast as a black woman.
No, she.
I mean, no,
I
she
heard
was.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
my God.
Yeah.
And apparently, the story that it was actually based on, the character that the fucking real human being that her character is based on was not a white lady.
That's what I mean. I think that they
Like,
just cast and were just like, well, we have Glenn Close for this
No,
one.
it goes into it goes into it in the movie that like she is white.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
didn't watch it. You told me about it, and I was like, that's wild. I'm not watching
So
it.
they like changed that around to get Glenn Close in the movie, and now we have Glenn Close
Jesus Christ.
saying that, which is fucking crazy.
Hang on. My sources today, Elizabeth Ann Holland, Griffin Bonazzi, findagrave.com, Black Like Me by John Howard Griffin, First New American Library Printing, May 2003, Black Like Me, Continental Distributing, 1964, and Wikipedia. So let's talk more about Glenn Close saying things that she shouldn't.
What you got?
No, I just I really do believe though that John Howard Griffin did need to do, not need is a strong word, but like there were a lot of white people like him that were like, yeah, so I went up and asked black people how they felt about this, and they said that they're doing great, that they're just fine, stop worrying about it. And it's like, oh, that's what I've been trying to tell people. They're doing great. So it's like, in a way, he did need to get people to be truthful with him to a certain degree. Was this the right method to do it? No. I do think that he could have just asked literally anybody else, and like he could have just, I don't know, ghostwritten maybe or something. It was a weird way to go about it.
I guess, man.
It's a weird, but like, because here's the thing. It's not like.
He got the spirit. You're a little confused.
Yeah. That bomb really did something to him. It made him more.
I don't know, man.
Man,
like,
he really can't see color. Now, there's a.
oh, fuck you, dude. Is that where we're going to. Yeah.
No.